Hey everyone, it's episode 4 of anaxSKOOL live. And today I'm pretty excited because we are going to interview a longtime friend of mine who's also my business partner, Andreas Kopietz. So Andreas Kopietz founded and is the CEO of anextent GmbH. And for those of you who only know anextent through anextent USA, there's so much more to the story. So all of these products are manufactured in Germany, and they're the brainchild of Andreas. Andreas Kopietz began as a dental technician, a ceramist, and he had a lot of big ideas and even bigger personality. If you've ever met him, I don't have to tell you that. But as long as I've known him, which is about almost 10 years now, we've never had a conversation that really gave me insight into the power he's harnessed of just being weird. So today we're going to interview him and hopefully get a little inspiration from his story so we can take our own inner weirdos out into the world and do big things. So welcome to the 4th episode of anaxSKOOL. Hey, Andreas.
Hey, Tay, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Okay, so I'm much better. So let me just tell you guys, I don't know why I didn't expect it, but there were 5 minutes to go. And that little chair that Andreas is sitting in right now was empty. I was freaking out, texting him saying, Andreas, we start in 5 minutes. Where are you? He comes in and sits down casually and he says, it's okay. I don't care. And this is working with Andreas, but he's worth it. So, Andreas, thank you for meeting us. It's your evening there in Stuttgart.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we started a tradition last time with Florian and Andreas Leimbach. Because I get really nervous. I do a much better job if I can just chill out a little bit before we get started. So I want to give a cheers to this 4th episode of anaxSKOOL. Can you cheers with me? What did you bring? Coca-Cola. The hard stuff. Okay, cheers to the 4th episode.
No fireball tank here.
No fireball.
Yeah.
No, it's not fireball. Peanut butter bourbon. Remember this stuff? It's so good.
Of course.
It's weird, right? Peanut butter bourbon is weird. Okay, so Andreas, I have never had this conversation with you. And so I don't know what you're going to say. And I love that about you. You never know what you're going to say, but you're always going to tell me the truth, which is great. And you're always authentic. And I want to start out, if you don't mind, by telling the story of how we met and how we started working together. It was 2011. And our mutual friend, Eli, literally threw me in front of you, right in front of where you were standing in Chicago at Lab Day. And he said, hey, you guys are kind of the same. You should know each other. And we just sat there looking at each other like, okay, hi, I'm Tay. You said, hi, I'm Andreas. And I just remember you had a lot of hair, like more than you have now, but still crazy hair and a weird suit. I wish I could remember exactly which suit. You have a lot of weird suits, but I just remember looking at you and thinking, this guy's different. You handed me some brochures and you said, let's meet tomorrow. And we actually made an appointment to have breakfast.
I came.
You did not come. But I went to my room and I had a big stack of brochures because at the time I had actually been hired as a consultant for the 2 guys in Dallas that were going to start a dealership. And they said, find us some products. And I was thumbing through all the boring brochures that you see, the blue brochures, the red brochures, the people in polo shirts, whatever. And then I got to this. So I've kept this because this is the brochure that started it all. I got to this and I thought, whoa. That doesn't look like anything else. I love modern art, and this was beautiful. And then I opened it. I don't know who any of the old school Annex customers have this catalog, but I opened it, and what I saw was this. And I remember thinking, what the hell? And I thought, okay, yes, I have to meet this person. So I went to breakfast and you didn't show up. You stood me up, but you called me. We had a Skype meeting. I don't remember, like a few days later after I got home. And we talked for maybe an hour, and everything you were saying about what you were trying to accomplish with your brand, the kind of products you offered, what was different, it just really lit me on fire and I loved it. And I came to Stuttgart and I met with you, and the rest is history. And we ended up doing it ourselves. We didn't even end up having the partners that we started with. It was just you and me. So over the last 10 years, I know one thing about you: you're different. And you've never made apologies for being different. And you've somehow found a way to channel everything unique about you into a brand that has become really pretty beloved worldwide and that I've loved working with. So if you would not mind walking us through, I have some questions for you just to kind of figure out how all this started and what went into you doing all the things you've accomplished with anextent. So it all starts with an origin story. People love an origin story, right? So I know you've always been this way. As a parent of children, I know you've been this way since you were little. So can you give us a little insight into that moment you must have had where you thought, okay, I'm a little different than the average person. I think I see things differently. When did you know that you were a little different?
I don't want to say when did I know I was different. I just walked my path. I started in the at the beginning 80s to be a dental technician. In Germany, you have to learn this profession for 3.5 years. And I felt something because I tried to talk constantly with my colleagues and with the dentists. I was not allowed to at the beginning. Then we started talking to dentists. And I tried to be myself. That's just, I can't give advices, but try to be yourself. And so I went to certain laboratories. I met, I think, one of a big stone in my career. I met 1983 at my mother paid this course. She's not alive anymore. And I went to see Mr. Geller.
Okay.
In Karlsruhe, which is a small city in Germany. And I went there and I was 2 years technician. So I had no clue what he's talking about. And I was standing there, and then I went the next year, and I went 3 years, always on this course. And my mother paid always, not me.
So the same course, you just kept going back.
3 times. So, and just to get an idea, how things working. And I met through other people like Jan Langner in my career. They just pushed me and support me and try to, let's say, channel me to in a certain direction. Not because I was always like, as you know, I'm here and here, and they tried to channel me at least in my knowledge. So then I went working for a corporate company. And through them, I went to creation. I've been with Mr. Geller then. We came finally very close. And with creation was very interesting because I met you call me weird, hey. I don't call me weird, but I met really weird people. And for me, it was like going, it was like going, the sun went up for me. I saw so many different opportunities, doing things, doing ceramic, doing business, connecting to people. And so through this, I've been all over the world and was trying to put this. I was in the organization of oral design and bringing people together. And it was very interesting to be weird.
Yeah, people celebrated it.
Yeah, this was interesting time in the 90s because as Mr. Geller showed how to impress yourself to the technicians and being a technician and not being a slave of the dentists at this time. Being very difficult. And this was kind of a river for me. It gave me a good flow and I saw things. And sometimes you're getting very arrogant when you're young, it's interesting to see when I look back, and see how I impressed myself. But over the years, you become a personality, and I just can tell young people that are out there, technicians or industry people, or just be yourself, even you work for a company, because this you can grow only. If they don't go with you, maybe you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And in the I would say 95, 96, implantology came up more and more and more. And at this time, I met Pascal and Michel Mann.
Okay.
Interesting to see. And Michel did already, huge implant cases. In Germany, we had it in the mid-80s, small cases. But what Michel did, he did provisionals on implants. And if I told these other technicians or dentists, they said, this guy's crazy.
Yeah. So why was that a strange thing? Like, why were provisionals on implants strange?
At these days, you got an impression already, and the provisionals are made in the dental office and not
okay.
Not a regular lab work. At this, I would say, beginning of 90s came it up. So I didn't see it at the beginning, but I heard the story. So, and then we start making provisionals and starting finding materials. And I was, let's say, 98, 99, I was on the point which I've been too weird for a company which I was working for.
I know that feeling.
I was moving in this direction for them. For them, that was weird because I was moving to this market where patients are be in the middle, not only instruments. So to serve the patients the best what you ever can do. And this was a small group, not only oral design, many other technicians, and I've been to many countries people know me, older people know me since a long time. And for me, it was interesting to create products for them. So for this kind of a small market on implantology, on provisional, this brought me to anextent at the end. So we ended up 99 anextent to make this. It's a history product. It's new outline. It's a powder liquid system, and we still sell it not so as in the beginning of 2000ish or 2010, because CAD-CAM is now here. But for us, was a good entrance in the market. And are you here now?
Yeah, we're good. Sorry, we had a technical problem.
No problem. Everything is good. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, super. So for me, this was maybe, as you said, the weird way, or realized I saw the world different than the others. Big companies that didn't do these products. Today is a regular product. Everybody has.
It's normal now. I had no idea because I was in high school when you're talking about all this. I had no clue until just now that provisionals on implants made in the lab weren't normal, weren't something that everybody always did.
I just listened. I listened what people expecting or dreaming about, let's say first dreaming, and then I try to realize it. Yeah. That's the connector between the lines. That's not, I don't do more. I try to sometimes, excuse me?
That leads me to this next question, which you're kind of already answering. So you worked for a company that was more corporate and they didn't understand your vision. They didn't understand whether I didn't agree with it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they didn't understand the vision thing. But they were serving a different market. Okay.
So that leads me to this next question. What pushed you? Because starting your own brand is a massive task. I mean, you handed the brand to me and I just had to introduce it to the US market. And that alone, there were times when I almost just gave up. Like, it was so hard.
What did I tell you? We got it.
You did. You kept telling me, and you were right. But as hard as that was, it's even more daunting to decide that you're going to make something new. You're going to invent a brand and put it out into the world and make it successful.
Yeah,
so what do you think made you do it? Or did you really even think, did you know what you were getting into? I didn't know what I was getting into.
Me not either. I mean, I just walked And without the customers, you outside, without all these technicians and dentists all over the world. I mean, by the way, we're serving now to 46 countries in the world, which is for me. I mean, you go to Chile, and this makes me so proud. You're in the laboratory. I can even cry, you go in the lab and you see this brand. I mean, it's just, and even they just use this, or they use the polishing paste, or use our really, really cool pink composite. I mean, it's so nice for me. That's what keeps me driving. I mean, I went to New Zealand meeting technicians there. I was invited there, and I was so proud. I mean, that's on the other side of the world for us. They use Annex products. And
that's
I was like,
crazy.
Woo! And that's why I do it. I just do it because I love to doing it.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I had no clue. And without, I mean, I can count people, I could drop names here, but everybody supported it. Without the support of all of the technicians out there, we both wouldn't be here today.
So some of those technicians are watching right now, and one really special one has a question that I don't understand, and so I have to ask.
I don't want to hear it. I don't know who it is, but
I don't know what this means. Where is your violet cylinder, Mr. So, okay, Florian and I both call you Willy Wonka because you are kind of like the Willy Wonka of dentistry. Not kind of, you are. So I don't know what a violet cylinder is, but I think we're gonna find out.
A violet cylinder it's a head. I don't have it, Florian. I'm sorry.
Like a top hat? Like a top hat.
I just have this here,
Oh my God. Okay, so it's a top hat.
You remember this day. You remember this day.
I remember that. You know what? I remember that because I hate to say this, but Richard Wodzinski did way better than that. You tried, Andreas, but Richard's trucker hat that he made is better.
Yeah, okay, but I have just this sample. And this worked by so many people because everybody who visits the company gets this hat on, and we make the picture, so it's probably very well known, this hat here.
It is very well known. And I mean, now that you say, when you were talking about what it feels like to go in and see your brand in all these different countries, there are people right now on the feed from Colombia. We've got, hey, Juan, and we've got Stefano from Italy.
Oh, Napoli. My hometown. Napoli is my hometown.
My US people, Arian. So Arian, when I first met you, Arian was one of the first people. And Arian's weird. He's the same kind of weird. So he was one of the first people that really pushed me to look at these products seriously. Because for a while we knew each other, and I was just trying to understand the lab market because it was so foreign to me. And Arian helped me really understand it. And he's the one that said, hey, this stuff is really good. I think the technicians here would really like it. So thank you, Arian. Hey, Arian.
So cool. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. So I have a question for you because the product that has...
Hold on 1 second. Short sentence to Arian.
Okay.
Arian, I mean, we say in Germany, chapeau, because you brought the German crazy crown to United States. There are two guys before you. They're probably out of business. But, I mean, you made it minimum as good as we did. Very nice.
Oh.
I mean, I'm very proud you're doing this. That's not easy. He's doing the same stuff.
Telescopic cases is what you're talking about. The telescopes.
That's the best solution for patients without teeth, I would say.
Yeah, it's what I would want. It's really what I would want if something happened to me. So.
No. Take your teeth. That's better. Get some.
Well, yeah. But it's good to have an exit strategy if something happens.
Aaron is way younger than me. He can do my case then,
There you go. So, you were in the corporate world. You probably learned a lot in the corporate world. Are you glad you had that experience before going out on your own? Because I had a similar experience.
I had a boss. I had the best boss in the world. This was Mr. Gierbach. And Mr. Gierbach let me do everything what I want. He never asks. I mean, I've been 4 months away, Tay. I've been not even, I was too long away. I always called him every week, said, report, DDD. And then there was a time I was in US, I was traveling in US. And I think after 4 weeks, I was scared to call.
Yeah.
I said, this time is too long, so I couldn't go.
They didn't even know where you were. You were total freedom.
They just saw my credit card bills. Probably I'm still alive. And daily orders. So yeah. I've been to 48 states. I never forget this trip. I never forget. I met a lot of people like Walter Heckler in San Francisco. I mean, Taki supported me in these days. He was living in Connecticut. I can name so many people. They always took care. Monty Touville from State Washington. I mean, really good, nice people from the heart. And if you travel a long time, it's good when you come to someone you have a little bit home.
Yeah, it's that home feeling.
And I came home. I came back to Germany, and Mr. Gerbach gave me a big hug, and he said, "I'm so happy you're back." And I was like, because he's the boss. I was scared to death.
So you had this. So I had a similar. It's funny because I think I'm learning that there were things similar in our paths that I didn't realize we had in common before. But I had a really similar situation where at a really early age, somebody saw that I had the ability and just kind of gave me freedom to run a business and do things my way. So I had that experience before meeting you and before doing this. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I think that gave you the confidence that somebody successful like Mr. Gerbach gave you approved of what you did and totally trusted you, probably gave you a lot of confidence to do what you ended up doing with anextent, correct?
Yeah, for me was not easy to leave.
Yeah.
You come to a wall and you just like this, but it's just your feeling. It's not the feeling of other people.
So your intuition is really what it took. That's all it took to make you go.
Don't waste any day. Just walk on.
Yeah.
I mean, the hardest way was getting up the foot and moving on. Just walk in his office and say, "I resign." This was the most difficult thing in the whole story.
Yeah. Really?
My former partner, Axel Thüne, we started together, and he's laughing about me always. And when I do the catalog stuff, I write text by myself.
Can you show the cover? Can you show the cover of the catalog, please? It's a lobster claw.
It's a lobster claw.
Send me that.
I mean, that's very actual here, I didn't know it's coming, that we have to protect ourselves so crazy right now these days. But this is a hand and a lobster claw. And this is, that's for me, it's even your different cultures, you have to communicate. That's how it is, Sometimes.
Okay, so can I tell you something? You something? Because I think sometimes when you get really wrapped up in building your brand, you miss out on the victories that you should get to celebrate. That catalog to me is an ultimate trophy. The fact that you can put that weird image on the front of a catalog and people accept it and they like it, like that's kind of a badge of honor. If Iva Clark put that catalog out, somebody would be getting fired.
Yeah, but I had one customer, a German dentist. He said, I don't buy from him because he's wearing an expensive watch. I mean, you have these people, so I don't care. Probably a nice guy, but he took it wrong somehow,
Yeah. Some people, that's the thing. You've probably, so I had this question kind of for the end of the conversation, but now that you say that, I've got some questions on a couple of the products and where they came, their origin stories. But I want to ask you, you are 100% authentic. That's one of the things that we're talking about today. So has that ever backfired in building your business? Have you ever taken a chance and you were wrong?
To open to people outside.
Okay.
And they took ideas, made it better, I would say. So they made it probably better. I mean, I don't want to say better, not in my way, but making way more money out of it.
Okay.
And that's like when you open, everybody knows if you're telling things, sometimes you get abused, but that's how it is. I don't want to change about this. I'm like I'm I go my way and let them do their thing, and then it's okay. When they don't have own ideas, let them steal and walk on. It's okay.
Do you feel like when that's happened, because I've experienced that here too, and do you feel like when that happens, that's often their one shot and then they don't know what to follow up with? So you keep having ideas, but if somebody takes your ideas, they don't have a next move.
It doesn't mean they take your idea. You think sometimes they take your idea. There are many people in the world that have the same idea at the same point. but you just have to do it. Idea is one thing, realize it. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
And that sometimes there are different opportunities to do it. And sometimes it's not easy because maybe someone else did it, or you don't have the money for, or the regulations are very difficult. Regulatory is a big problem, what we have right now, in Europe, because the regulations are getting so tied up, and they are made from big companies. I mean, really big dental companies, the leaders. They are paying people in Brussels and for pushing their opportunities and opinions through. And that's how it's lobbyism. And lobbyism get paid well, and they just want to have small companies like us out of the market, because for them we are mosquitoes. They don't want to have these bites. It's like I feel sometimes like a barracuda. You just have to be careful, fly under the radar, and then move on.
It's funny because I've always been grateful to work with the anextent brand, because I feel like it gives me a chance to connect to labs that also have a really individual approach. And bring something special. And that I have so much respect for that. So I get to work with people I really respect all the time. But we have that shared struggle, I think. The labs that are putting something out there. Look at Aaron, for example, with the telescopes. I'm sure that the minute he really gained some traction with that idea, he started seeing people pop up trying to do the same thing. But he's not stopped. So one of the things I've always really respected about you is that when you have a good idea, even if it's met with really frustrating results in the beginning, you're so confident with that idea that you just keep pushing. I don't know how many times I called you in the first 3 or 4 years of the business. And sometimes I would just tell you, I'm done. Like, I don't think this was a good idea. I think this is about as good as it's going to get. I'm so frustrated in the US market. And you would just tell me, like, we're not changing anything. It's going to happen. Just give it time.
Hold it. Just go on. Push the pedal.
And that's what we did. Okay. So I want to ask you about a specific product, because the origin story of this product, I have a basic idea of, but I realized when I was preparing for this interview, I really don't know the whole story. Annex Gum has become it's reached a level of success now here in the US for us that, and for our customers using it, that I always hoped for in the beginning, but I sometimes thought wasn't as possible as I had hoped. Because when I entered the market with Annex Gum, I would call people and say, have you tried Annex? Do you use pink composite? Oh, you mean Gradia? And I'd say, no, I mean, like, I've got one too. I've got one. It's not called Gradia. Like, everybody already had Gradia. Literally everyone. So when you decided to go through the very expensive and time-consuming process of making Annex Gum at a time when everybody already had Gradia, like, why did you do it? Why did you do it? Why did you think it was going to pay off?
I had no clue it's paying off. No idea. I was just, again, listening to people which I give a lot of credit and moved on. I mean, I got a phone call from Erik van Doren. It's, I think, for me, one of the best dentists in the world. He's from Belgium in Antwerp. And he called me, he's a customer. He was an Annex, or he's still an Annex customer. And Erik called me and say, hey, we have an idea. Just come up. I have a guy here. I have a complete group of Brazilians. Maybe we can do something. And this was the time when I met Christian Coachman. I heard from Christian. He was at the Atlanta group and working as a technician. He's a dentist as well. And Christian was very nice to see, for me as a technician, how a dentist works.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I saw this many years ago with Dr. Winter, Bob Winter. I mean, for me, Bob Winter was, I just opened up a complete auditory for me, because he's a dentist and he made his own crowns. I mean, he was working with a porcelain, ridiculous. And there are not so many talented people who are good dentists and good technicians.
Sure.
Yeah? It's time consuming. People have the ability to do it, but You have to, and Christian was kind of similar, complete in a different section, but I saw this guy knows exactly what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And so I was listening, and at this time, Christian was using also Gradia because they're starting working in the mouth, doing messed up implant cases or cases which are, not, I mean, some cases are not, you can't fulfill the satisfaction of your own work because maybe the bone, you bone augmentation 4 or 5 times. I mean, it's a matter of money of the patient. The matter is the patient willing to do the next bone augmentation. Today, the technique went tremendously forward in this area. But they asked me, Andreas, can you do something here? And I was thinking, let's think, because we had already we made already Annex Blend, which is a tooth color.
Okay, so you had the tooth color line already at this point.
The tooth color line we had already. And so we started, this was Jens was with us these days, very brilliant guy, Jens Erich. He was working for me, and we started thinking how we can put this pink in this paste inside. And we didn't even look at other companies. I never look at other companies. Yeah, because it just it don't bring you on your path. You have to go your own way. Even they're very successful, I try to find my own way.
I think that's important. I think that's a huge fundamental point.
Yeah, maybe for companies like us, but if you like big player like Dentsply or GC, or they look what other people doing. Look, GC just copied our flask. I mean, they have to because they have a good
component. I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, very pushing, but it's okay, Tay. It's okay because at the end it's sometimes it's good when they copy you because it's opening up your own markets. Because you walk to people, you go in labs, you show how you duplicate, how you inject composite, how you're doing this and this, and they say, bullshit, I'm faster, I can do it by my own. They're right probably. But now other companies coming in showing the similar system. And we just had phone calls this week. GC people went to customers. So cool. Thank you, Kerstin. And they called us and say, hey, she or someone else, or I saw it on the website, can I see the original? At the end, it's good because these big companies, they make even business with it. Ivoclar had a flask or has a flask. I don't know, they push it on or not, but it opened up for us other markets because we're a small company. We're a small company. We are barracudas. We are not whales like there, but we can move very, very quick.
So tell me, when you were listening to people, we were listening to Christian and listening to other people about what Annex gum ended up being. I have an idea of what they were telling you.
Christian, we did the colors. Christian came. I was so honored that Christian, and nobody knew Christian Coachman at this time. Said, who the hell is a brilliant dentist? Who the hell is this? And see what Christian did. Christian is, he's one of the most known dentists in the world.
Yeah.
It's very diverse how people think, but Christian opened up the whole digital world.
Yeah.
He changed the system. And everybody is using digital design. They should pay Christian money for using DSD. I have a dental office. We do digital smile design. She should brand this and make a corporate out of it. But should donate money for Christian because he changed the dentistry. In my eyes.
He did. So he's the one that back when was this when you met him?
We met, Christian and me, we met 2000. The first time 2009, I would say.
Okay.
Was it? So, and we started even doing courses with DSD. At this time, he did all this keynote and very interesting for me. And people were just like, the Germans are like how we are, we think we're the best, arrogant how we are, and said, oh, bullshit and da. But if you see these people today, they buying Christian's app. And I'm so proud.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud. Yeah. And so we started doing this. And it was a very, very small market how we marketed first, because we marketed to dentists, to these failure cases, I would say.
Okay. So you were marketing it for intraoral use.
Yeah, intraoral uses and people, with high lip lines. Porcelain is always the best solution.
Yeah.
It's the best solution for cleaning purposes on these kind of cases, but to match the color, there's some guys out there like Stefan Picha or people, they can do it. They know what they do.
Got it handled, but
yeah, or Sebastian Mosconi. I mean, they're masters in doing in pink. They showed other people how to do, and maybe some other guys doing even better than them. Because
that's so true. So I had completely forgotten, because it's taken such a different turn. I completely forgotten that when I first took on Annex Gum back in 2012, that was what we were marketing. That was why people were buying it. They were buying it to blend chairside, a business transition line between the pink, artificial pink, and the natural gingiva. So it's come such a long way, because now
it's interesting. I remember the day I've been at the university in Zurich, and I gave it to Vincent Fehmer, which is a very, very nice, humble, excellent dental technician.
Yeah.
And a very nice man. And Vincent, he made it, and he made a beautiful case. He added on, he did with Annex Blend at these days. He was working with, it was a composite case. And it's still, I think it's still in the brochure, in the old brochure, it's still in. And I mean, it came out, it was so nice. And I watched Vincent, how he do it and use dentin underneath. And this is what Phil and Lee later showed, and Phil is, I mean, he brought it to an absolute excellent today. This Vincent helped me, this was getting up for me to pushing these products in laboratories. But as you said, why make Annex Gum when everyone already had Gradia? Because we have beautiful colors.
Yeah, you knew that you could make better colors.
Different colors. They're not better. They're not. I wouldn't say that. I think it's a good company.
Okay. You're right.
I mean, it's a multinational corporate giant company. They're, I don't know, 100 years old. I think 1921 or somehow, and they're doing a pretty good job. For individual people that our customers are they want to do something different, and maybe you have a different handling, but it doesn't mean it's a better product. We have a good product, and I would say we have a very, very successful product in the market, because these colors are fitting maybe better to their needs of these technicians who are using this material.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about this so many times. I don't know if it's this way in Europe, but in the US, rarely do you find somebody who only uses one brand of pink composite, just because the colors are different. It's nice to have options. Yeah. So most of our customers are using Gradia and Annex Gum now. And I think that took me a while to learn that I didn't have to go in and say, I've got this instead.
And it's composite. I've been 3 days ago at Andreas Leimbach's laboratory. Florian and Andreas working together in the lab. And I mean, they were running out of material. And they called me. I mean, it was 2:30 and say, hey, we need to finish a case today. And I said, nice for you, but not my problem, So don't make your problem not to my problem. And because I would say 100 miles away. So I said, okay, I'm coming. I have no car this week. So I took the train and went down. And I saw Andreas Leimbach putting Ivoclar's opaque on the framework, putting a GC material, and at the end he was putting everything with our dentins, because we can inject big block, and the colors are pretty nice, So he was mixing up everything, but at the end, his dentist sent me the case today, because he was also there this evening, and he was so proud. And the dentist said, "Thank you for this nice material, but it's a combination of everything. So don't be so closed and see, oh, I have to work with one brand." That will take
Right.
We used at the old days from Dentsply, or Detre was the old name of this company, an opaque, which there was the first with paste opaque, and we Vita on top or Creation on top, and it works. You just have to try this composite.
Well, and so I have to give you little shout outs that have been coming in along the way. Robert Pryor, who was like the first guy, I think, that called me, and he had heard, he's like, Tay, I ran into Andreas at a trade show. I think it's San Diego or something you went to right before we launched. I found out you guys have Flow Annex Gum. And he was so mad that he didn't know. So I sent him some, but he's been such a great support. And then Florian now. He's not asking facetious questions about your top hat anymore. He says, thank you for some of the best materials in the market. But this leads me to the next question I have for you. Or not really a question. It's something I want to talk about. Because
just come back to Richard quick too, because I mean, Robert pushed me also. These are one of these guys who have pushed me to make better products.
Okay.
I mean, that's a long time ago, Robert. I've been with Creation in US, and just was interesting to meet these people, and they say, hey, we need this and this, and they called me when I was by my own. They used new outline, and I lost him because he's a digital guy today, you know, he's a digital man, even in his age. You're older than me, Robert, so I can say this. And but they pushed me to make better products. That's why we do it. That's one of your questions. Why push I over the edge on the brand? It's not only the edge, it's the product to make people can rely on something. That's very important.
Okay, so that is a question I have for you. There are a lot of things that make your brand unique, and they've always been there. Your brand's very consistent over all these years. So what do you think are some of the most unique and important aspects to you that you've fought to keep a part of the brand?
I don't understand the question.
What about your brand is something very important to you that has always been something you wanted to hold on to? So as you grow, there's always temptation to make it faster.
Not having, I mean, business-wise, you should have a mass market product, but not having a mass market product.
That's something that's been important to you, and you've never done it, a mass market product.
No, it's because we can make products for the size of our company team. I was proud when people say, "Oh, I use Ivoclar, and I use Creation, and I use anextent." I mean, I was proud at the beginning, but it scares you also because we have a company, it's a decent size, but it's not big. So if all these people using now anaxSKOOL, and we had just yesterday the problem, a guy was complaining because he getting this, because you were buying so much thing, because sometimes we have just the ability to produce things, and it's new outline, then we do new stuff here, you know, we have new blanks, and then we do analog products as well, you know, so we have to scale up, and we're learning a lot, you know, because US is, I mean, it's a big market. It's one of the biggest markets. We have Spain, US, Italy. I mean, we're a very strong brand in Italy. I'm so proud that Stefano was writing from Napoli, because Napoli is the Annex city, you know, for me. And because there are so many technicians using anextent, but you have to be consistent with the quality.
Yeah. So as you see, it's probably been tempting to change something about the way the products are manufactured so you can make more.
Yeah, but I mean, I was so proud that when you market the silicone to US market, and behind you, you see my fingers. You see, they're my fingers.
That's you.
That's me. That's my thumbs. And but you have to be very carefully, because if you have bigger mixing machines or you have bigger volumes, it's not the same product. So you have to be very careful, stay what you can do, and grow slowly. So that's why we can't be Ivoclar. So today I'm scared if they tell, oh, we're using Ivoclar, we're using Dentsply, GC, and then anextent. I mean, we have the good organization, and through UTAG we learned also a lot, you know, because our forecasts on things doing and production casts and discussions. But because my company is not so weird than I am, you know, because I have people, they just run it, you know, and they do a pretty good job, you know, and so we can't be them. And that's why sometimes I'm scared when they name me with these big companies.
Well, I know it's been a frustrating part of growth, and we've gone through that together a lot, because we've gone through phases where when somebody gets anexSKOOL in their hands and they love it and they're already using tons of something else and they want to switch over, you and I have had some really difficult conversations about that. But
it's like a lab. There's some guys out there. I don't know how many people watching, but I mean, let's say you have 5 people in the lab, 5 technicians. And with 5 technicians, maybe you have 15, 16, 20 dentists. And then one day, 200 dentists are calling. Good luck. You can't serve them.
Yeah.
Because you can't find technicians. That's the biggest problem right now in the world, all over. Everybody calls me, I need a technician. Andreas, you have a technician, And you have to scale up slowly to serve everybody. So
that's a really that resonates in this market a lot, because as I learned when we spoke, to get me primed kind of how the dental technician world looks in Europe is what I was trained on through you and through Jens. And then I got into the US market and found out, oh, so here you either know removable or crown and bridge, like you either or fixed. And implants, full arch implant work has really exploded here. And so what I see happening a lot here in the US is when a small lab who really can manage those cases well, once word gets out that they can manage those full arch implant cases well, they quickly become overwhelmed. So I've had so many conversations with customers where one day they're saying, I'm kind of worried. Like, I don't know if this is ever going to work, if I'm going to get enough clients.
This discussions I had with Florian Steinheber often. Many years when we were working together, it was like, in US, you had either people who were doing dentures, so removable, or you had people that are doing fixed. And we didn't understand this, because in Germany, you learn like what Arian is doing. That's fixed removable. Sorry when I call it like this. It's term-wise probably not right, but it's this here. And this is what technicians in the US learned, how to make this. Still, there's a big gap, and I'm happy that Arian and these guys giving courses, or Florian, showing how fixed people doing this removable, because for all in four, you need to know how a dental function,
But I've seen it happen time and time again, and thankfully, most of the time I see the technician figuring out how to manage it. But there's this moment when word gets out often, and they have more work coming in than they can handle. And I see in the U.S. anyway, what they do is they stop sleeping, and they just do all the cases. And I think it's really hard to do. It takes a lot of self-discipline to do what you're talking about and keep things small when the potential for something so big is happening right in front of you, and you can just reach out and touch it. But to stay true to your brand, you've got to keep the quality where it is. And to stay true to yourself, you can't just stop sleeping.
That's the most difficult thing, to keep the quality up. I would say it's the same in the lab. The typical thing in a typical laboratory. In a typical laboratory, there's a new dentist. Hi, Ben. How are you? There's a new dentist who gets the case, the best technician.
Yeah.
The best technician gets the case. And then he's doing these cases, but then another dentist comes, and the best technician has to hand these cases to another technician. Maybe he's not so skilled.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Everybody who runs a lab knows this problem. So in this case, digital helps a lot, because it's consistency with the quality. And for us, it's the same thing. We have to be very careful. What we do, the work in the lab here, what we do, these tests on investment to make it consistent, that people are pressing their lithium disilicate, whatever it is, there has to be a consistent quality. We get a lot of phone calls now from Germany say, oh, the investment changed. The expansion is different. I know why. Because we have about 95 degrees outside there, Or in Germany, with, 35, 38 degrees. So the humidity is different. The investment is, it's completely changing. So our work here, even the color test with the outline, I don't know, my son was here, he spread it out somewhere. But the color tests, what we do with the outline, to be consistent, always people can expect a similar quality. Even we change colors once in a while to make more chroma, to make more opaque or whatever, but you can do it. You can't do it in one batch. You have to do it in 3, 4, 5 batches, starting slow.
Oh, we lost Andreas.
I'm here.
Ah, you're back. Okay. Just keeping us on our toes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
So can you go back to Ben's question?
Yeah.
100% agree. We're a small lab, and we can see tsunami coming at work. Yeah. That's you're right, Ben.
So,
Nova Scotia. That's far away.
In the case of your business, of course, we're in the manufacturer and marketing of products business, and labs are in the business of making prosthetics. So it is different, but the challenges are so similar. So in your case, as a manufacturer, you have walked away from business to keep the product the high quality that it is. And that's a choice you've probably had to make over and over again, I would expect.
Constantly.
Yeah. So
I'm not the regulatory guy because I'm weird, as you say. Mm-hmm. But regulatory helps tremendously to keep up the quality because it's guiding you. It gives you a path to be consistent. Even the pressure's on. To follow the rules and not being quicker because you are yelling me because you need 2,000 syringes of orange pink, I mean, crazy day, 2,000 in an order. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, but
I hate those emails that I have to send.
But Tay, this syringe, it's made in Germany.
I know.
The sticker is made in Germany. And I tell you, I mean, through COVID, it was a nightmare to get materials because they've been on short-term working. I understand it totally because, and even they were busy, but I mean, they didn't go to work. I mean, we had problems to get this here, these plungers here. And when the customer, he said, hey, I need this stuff, but I mean, how do you press this out? I mean, we can't even get it in,
Okay, so I have another question because we've been talking about the quality of products, but there's something said to me that I have said to every single person I've hired since. In that first meeting that we had in Stuttgart back in 2012, you told me one of the most important things to you was that anytime you pick up the phone at anextent, that the person on the other end, you're going to talk to them, your voice should project the same thing it would to your best friend. So if your best friend was calling, you pick the phone up and your voice sounds a certain way and you need to—
You're happy. And you're happy.
You're happy. So you need to learn how to give that to every single customer and be genuine about it. And
but that's what I said. Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. But I don't think people
customer knows when you play around,
Right. But I think when you get to something as simple as the way that you sound when you answer the phone, I think most people wouldn't look at that and think that's being— I mean, I wouldn't look at that and say that when I didn't do that, I wasn't myself. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have thought about it that way. But, and I don't have a problem doing that. Maybe some people, it feels unnatural.
Yeah, but people take. They look, even, I mean, we discussed today your business from US because a lot of people buying through the website. Mm-hmm. So, and we have, I would say, 40%, 45% on the website, the rest calls, and I'm happy that they call because through COVID, I can't travel, so I'm on the phone. They say, oh, the boss is on the phone, and I love to pick up the phone because it's constantly ringing, so I want to serve customers. And my airtime with customers is 3 times more than with Sina or with some other people in the company because I'm asking, because I have always stuff in my mind. So what are you using? What do you think about this? I get my information. That's my elixir. It's when I called, Phil is calling from Leeds and we do a little bit jokes, but he's ordering products and we're discussing things and I come to an idea. I mean, and this keeps me pushing,
So I think that comes to, and I love this comment, Annex is the best company with production and knowledge philosophy. That's what you're talking about. I think that you—
So proud of hearing this from Turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, so cool. Kaya, thank you so much. Really, really nice. Very nice. Thank you.
So I think one of the things that it takes to have the kind of conversations where you learn like you do.
Sorry for the papers. It took so long. I'm so sorry. I just wrote you a letter. Probably you got it these days, but I'm sorry, Kaya. That's so the thing. It means I'm weird,
You are weird. Okay, so let's talk about one last thing before we have to go. Our time's almost up. But I think one common thing that's required whenever you need that information and knowledge from others, whenever you need feedback from others to learn what they need from you, is that you have an authentic relationship with them. And one thing I've observed about you is when people come, let's say we're in Chicago, when people come to the booth to see you, everyone tells me if you're not there, which let's face it, you wander off sometimes. And if you're not there, you know what they say? Everybody says this. I'm a really good friend of Andreas's. I'm a really good friend of Andreas's. Will you tell him I stopped by? And I love that about you.
They're nice people. They're nice.
But here's the thing. It's not an act. Like you really do have that kind of relationship with all these people.
That's why I do it. That's the reason why I do my job, because I love them. I mean, that's the reason why I really honest. We work for money, of course, but that's not an issue for me, not even a second. I mean, because I like meeting people, I like talking to them, like getting ideas, and I like feedback, which is sometimes not okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to hear.
It's hard to hear, but you have to hear it, because you can't grow when you don't have people that are kicking in your ass. I mean, I had a phone call with Lambert Stumble, which you put in the anaxSKOOL, by the way. I mean, this would be a really cool partner.
I already asked him. He's coming. He's going to be on.
I mean, these are people, they know me since a long, long time, and they tell me, Andreas, we did this with your product, and there's an edge. And can you jump over this? Can we do it? And it's for me very important that these people pushing me more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. And without that authentic relationship, they wouldn't really push you.
Yeah.
So what do you think it takes to have that kind of do you think it's something you just naturally do? Or do you think it's just natural?
I love people.
Yeah.
Always.
I remember telling Casey when I interviewed her, just to go help us, when Casey White started here, she wasn't even an employee. I just said, can you come to the trade show and help me? She was a dental assistant. So you remember I brought her to Chicago one year to just help with the traffic at the booth.
Yeah.
And after that went so well, I brought her to the office and interviewed her to actually come on board. And I said, okay, there's something you need to understand about this job. You're going to make friends, you're going to develop friendships very quickly. And they're very real and very deep friendships with these customers. And if you're comfortable with that, you're going to love this. If you're not, you're going to be miserable.
We have a new, very nice man here working. It's Udo. And Udo I know since a long time. And Udo he drove me these days around and in the city, and he picked me up and he said, everybody knows each other. That's crazy. He comes from a complete different business. And he said, everybody knows each other. When you're telling this to one, you hear this in France or you hear it in Spain. It's so crazy,
Yeah. And I think that's
one important of authentic relationships. A very good example is Carlos. Carlos is, I don't know how long with me. I mean, centuries.
From the beginning.
Yes, actually from the beginning.
Okay, Carlos, so some people here don't know who Carlos is. Carlos Barrier is, if you've met him, there's no chance you've met Carlos and you don't remember.
No.
Carlos is the Annex man. He's from Spain. He's a technician who has so much life and energy inside him. He's almost exploding all the time. I think when he sleeps, he's like that. But yes, so go on. I just have to tell, if you've never met Carlos, you should.
Yeah, Carlos, when you have wing partners like Carlos, because they're pushing me. I mean, in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, my phone rings. I know it's Carlos. He has so much energy, it's like he has to move on. And he's doing an outstanding good job. I mean, he opened up the complete Spanish market alone. I mean, Spain is exploding with Annex. It's ridiculous, For me, it's like, wow, how this happened, but it's Carlos.
One person. But he has such
there are a lot of companies we serve through. We don't sell direct, we sell through companies, but Carlos goes in the lab. And I mean, there's so many like, I mean, August, so many supporters in Spain. It's Iñaki in the north, dentists. We have people in the south. We have, I mean, so many good.
And they all are from Carlos.
And they're more or less all from Carlos, I would say, because everybody knows Carlos. And Carlos is the same. He's like you, he's like me. He's a guy who loves to work. I mean, when Florian Steinheber came, it's the same thing. Florian was working for other dental companies, and he saw this here and thought, wow, that's personal. And you can't keep it if you grow, because it grows in a different direction, but still you have it in you. And that's why I love exhibitions. And it's so sad to hear that Chicago is not going to happen in February, because I go since 1989 to Chicago, 88, 89. I mean, I've been one sick. And even when there was IDS, I went there. For me, it's not going to happen to this terrible thing we have right now running. I don't know, IDS is going to happen, but that's my elixir. This keeps me living.
Yeah, it's your fuel. I know. Yeah. And the time leading up to Chicago for me, and it's the similar thing to you leading up to the IDS, there are weeks before Chicago Lab Day that I just want to die. Like I know it's coming every year, and I know I'm going to be miserable, but it's going to be temporary. And there's such a payoff at the end, because I spend my entire day, it's going to be very different the first time we go back, I'm assuming, but I spend my whole day just like hugging people and so happy to see people.
These days doing this.
Yeah. You come home just like
worn out,
but also hugely energized. So I don't know, to me, when I sit back and think about what I've learned from you, because we've never had these conversations before, which is weird. I think we understand each other in a way where we kind of learn without talking to each other. But I've always noticed that you get energy from people exactly like I do. And I think that really is probably the core of your brand, because the energy you get from others seems to me to come out.
That's everybody in the company. That's everybody. Even the guy in the stock. I mean, Joseph, he's giving everything to put his people, to pack up stuff, shipping out on time, finding solution. Sometimes we running out of materials. I mean, he finds a solution. He finds a freaking solution that the customer has at the same next day a product. I mean, that's really cool.
Sasha has definitely been somebody who went through some very difficult times in the beginning too.
Congrats to your success, Sasha. You do a really pretty good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're all over the world, Sasha. You even make it better than me. And hey, really, really nice job. Thank you, Sasha. That's a good together. And we are not competition. We work together because we don't have time. We just have to protect ourselves against these big companies. And I would say, how do you say in English, to connect the customers that they understand why they have to buy from us. Why they have to, I don't want to support, I don't want to, I said support when we started, we are a company now, but it's good that people are trusting us and giving us their trust that they are using our products.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't be here. Is it in Germany or in France or in US or in Turkey, like Kaya is writing, or in Colombia? We're in Colombia. I mean, it's so cool, because they trust us and they trust in the brand and in the quality. And that's what I would say also to lab technicians. Ben, try to push the brand, or Arian, try to push your brand and not a specific product. Because if your dentist believing in the lab, you can serve them good products. That's your job then. But that's how it works. That's absolutely. Up to now. I don't know. I'm doing this over 20 years now. And I mean, sometimes it's a nightmare, for working for me, because I'm always pushing, because I love it. Yeah. I don't want a gap. And if there's something, I can't even sleep, if a customer complains. It's for me a nightmare.
Same here. I had the hardest time learning how to turn off my Facebook Messenger at night. Because when Willa got old enough to talk, she called me out on it. She was like, I'm sitting here with you and you keep looking at your phone. Why? Don't your customers go home? Don't they stop?
You know, we have one product. How does it call?
Divorce. Yes, divorce.
Divorce, you know, that's the end of the game, Tay. I mean, it's a nightmare to be married with me. I'm sorry. But it's the same with me because the phone is ringing. You sit in a nice, beautiful patio in southern Italy. You see the ocean. The moon is there. You have a nice dinner, and the phone rings, and Carlos calls, or you call, or a customer. You know, and I'm there for you.
And you know, it's crazy because I want to turn it off, but at the same time, I get something out of it that when I turn it off, that's gone, and I don't like it.
It's difficult for understanding for our partners, Tay. That's what I learned. I mean, it's difficult for me to shut the phone off when I get home, but then it's for everybody around you easy. That's very private here, but it's like it is, you know.
Yeah.
And divorce is a product out of this. So
divorce, just for people who are watching that don't know, divorce is a separator for silicone to silicone. And I get more jokes from people who call, like they're embarrassed.
You can separate the silicones without a lawsuit. And it's only, I don't know how much you sell it, $30 or somehow the bottle. Yeah. You can't get it cheaper, you know. It's $30.
So when I started selling it, I just thought like separator is separator, divorce is divorce. Oh, this must just be what people call like silicone separator. And everybody was laughing. And then I asked you why you called it divorce. And you said that at the time you were getting a divorce and you thought maybe this is like a funny way to name it.
I was sitting with Jens together and said, what do you think about divorce? And Jens said, crazy, you know.
Well,
we write it even in the German catalog, divorce, even so you can read it, you know, the read letters. It comes out of English and means divorce.
Yeah.
We divorce silicone to silicone and we recommend it. Then it works properly, you know. So it's a very thin film and you can separate the parts without a lawsuit.
That's perfect. My favorite thing is to edit the English translation of the anextent catalog every time you do one, because I'm like dying laughing the whole time. I always understand what you're trying to say, but like the German way to say that in English, like I think called you one time I was editing it and you were talking about Annex Blend being neat, and the adjective you used was housewifely.
Sorry.
I mean, like I'm a feminist, and so I was like, what the? He can't use that word in this. So the word became neat in the English final version.
Okay, good. Super.
Hey, I have a couple more comments that I want you to see before we go. From Peng, who has, again, been there from the beginning, that the educating brand that we've developed is what stands out. Huge compliments to you guys being able to put the education together. And
thanks,
I say that
doing somewhere.
You know, what we did in the States was hugely based on what you did in Germany. When I went to visit you, I spent time in the lab that you use for education. And Jens trained me and he told me how you do courses. And I remember coming home, you gave me Josh Polanski's phone number. You said, there's this crazy young technician. He's really good. You just call him and tell him I told you.
I would call him weird. I don't know. He's listening. But
you know, he's not as weird.
Man.
We toned it down, but deep down, he's still weird. But he is the first person I called, and I said, "Hey, we have a mutual friend, Andreas Kopietz, and he thinks I should talk to you." You know, and Josh and Yarrow and I put together those first courses. But Peter Peasy is the one that called before we even launched, and he said, "Tay, this flask that anextent makes." It's really something, but nobody knows how to use it. Like there was no knowledge base here. He said, if you can just find somebody who could teach me and my friends how to use it, I'll get them here to my lab. You train us. And I don't know if you remember this, but I didn't even have anybody. Like I thought we weren't even going to start the company. And then we happened to accidentally meet Yarrow or Bansky at a trade show that you and I weren't even planning to go to. Like everything about this was an accident, an anextent accident. But when we met Yarrow, you guys sat down. I forget which language you were speaking, but it wasn't English. Mm-hmm. And all I could tell to gauge your conversation was the pictures you were sharing on your laptops. Yeah. And it was step by step, all on fours with the annex form system, which is what I had told you we need to be able to do. If I can just teach people how to use this system for all on four, that's great, but nobody knows how to do it. So I remember you went to Thailand. We had decided not to start the company. You told me, I'm sorry.
Most ridiculous phone bill. This was my most ridiculous phone bill. Well, I was standing on the island, on the stone out on the ocean, talking to you hours. I mean, I paid a fortune to it, you know.
I know. Okay, so people don't know. I don't think people know this story. You know, this almost didn't happen. So I don't think people know this. So let's wrap this up by telling a little story that makes all this make sense. So you told me, I'm sorry. For the next week, I'm off the grid. So you were talking to me somewhere in Thailand, and then you were unreachable for a week. And in that week, our mutual friend that introduced us, Eli, he called me and he said, what you have is something special. Don't let it go down the drain. And I had Yarrow's email address from that trade show. I emailed him. He could barely speak English. And I said, Yarrow, if I flew you to Staten Island, could you like teach Peter Peasy and his friends how to use the flask? And just, I paid with my personal credit card. And I just thought, let's do this. I'm going to take this chance. And if people love it, then I'll call Andreas and I'll say, we just got to figure out how to do this ourselves. So Josh Polanski was there, Peter, some incredible technicians came, and they were ranging all over in age and experience. And every single one of them, like a light bulb was going off. And I didn't even know enough to understand why yet. But I knew that they loved it and that it was something special. And so Josh took me and Yarrow to the airport after that. And we both sat there. We all sat there in the car and said, okay, we're going to do this. Like, I'm going to do this, but I need your help. And so for the next 2 years, those two guys.
I mean, they've been traveling all over.
I mean, we had some adventures together. That is for sure. But we went all over the country, and all we needed was 10 people in a room. And that was hard to get because, you know, it's expensive to put those courses on. And big companies can absorb a lot of that cost, but we had to figure out a way to charge enough to where I could have money in the bank to pay Josh and Yarrow. Like, I didn't have it. So, I mean, for 2 to 3 years, we traveled all over the nation having these 10-person courses over and over.
This is what you've made, Tay. It's a brand in the US now. You made it.
But the education made it. Peng is right. The education made it. And it took a long time. But the people that were in those courses in the beginning are still the people that are even teaching courses for us now, like Peng, you know?
Even Sasha, I had a phone call years ago with Sasha and said, Sasha, it's so tough. I think we're not going to make it. I mean, even me, I was complaining. And Sasha said, go on, go on, go on. I mean, it's always good when you have people on the way, they're helping you with good words. I mean, that's how it is. And today we're here. Hey, look, we have this interview. It's Friday. I mean, beautiful day outside. Good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank you so much. I knew this was, I'm really disappointed that none of your friends
listen to this, what Tay is saying. Aya, listen to this in Turkey. Look what Tay is doing in US. You can do it in Turkey. You can do it in, I mean, all over the world.
Yeah, Kaya, call me first because I can save you a lot of time by avoiding some really dumb mistakes that I made.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Andreas.
I said 1 hour. It's too long, but it's 1 hour.
I knew it would not be. I mean, we can talk all day.
Yeah, but I hope it was a little bit interesting to get an insight of anextent.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the takeaway is that when you are open to authentic relationships, you will be yourself as a first step. You will have those authentic relationships. If your mind is open to learn, you will learn everything you need to know to go out and change things and do something important. So I think to me, that's the takeaway. Thank you so much, Andreas. Thank you for everything that you're putting out into the world, all the fantastic products and all the knowledge and all of your patience and belief in me. Thank you. And we will have to have you on another time. Thank you so much.
More things coming up for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Bye.